The marsh does not belong to of the herons and ibises. Even with no one around to speak to, she found her own quiet joy in the rhythm of the tides. Nature was consistent. It did not strike without warning, and it did not make promises it intended to break. However, the marsh is also a labyrinth. She had been to these distant creeks many times with her brother, but coming alone was a different matter. Lost in her thoughts one afternoon, she accidentally forgot which way led back to the main channel. The sawgrass began to look identical in every direction, and the sun was beginning to drop. Panic started to tighten its grip on her throat. Fortunately, as she navigated a blind turn, her boat brushed past another small craft. Sitting in it was a boy the vibrant colors of the fruit and the sweet aroma of fresh bread on the counter immediately caught her attention, representing a world of abundance she had never known. But her father remained entirely indifferent to her presence. He didn't even glance back at his daughter to see if she was keeping up. Hoping to assess her level, she asked kindly, "Can you spell dog, Kaya?" "D-O-G." Kaya stood up, her throat dry. She looked around the room, but the letters on the chalkboard blurred together. She couldn't speak. Sensing her weakness, the children around her began to whisper and snicker. Unable to face the mocking stares, to her horror, her father didn't answer. His face grew dark, the old familiar rage boiling back to the surface. Instead of reading the letter, he pulled a silver lighter from his pocket, flicked the flame, and held it to the corner of the paper. He was setting fire to her only connection to her mother, burning her hope right before her eyes. Kaya screamed, only dared to close her eyes and sleep. As the days turned into weeks, the romantic notion of solitude faded before the harsh realities of starvation. The small food supplies her father had left behind, the half-empty bag of rice, the melting candles, and the moldy cornmeal were quickly running out. A child cannot eat scenery. How was a young girl supposed to him? I don't even remember what kind of bike it was. It wasn't your fault. Kaya reached out, her gentle hand resting on his shoulder. In that moment of shared grief, their wounds connected. They both knew what it felt like to have their lives defined by a sudden, devastating absence. Just be careful. Everything you worked so hard for, your dreams of going to Chapel Hill, life can change in a second. You understand that? The father, viewing the relationship through the lens of social survival, saw Kaya as a dangerous stumbling block to his son's grand academic future. He was entirely unaware that what truly holds people back in this life isn't love, but the deep-rooted prejudice of a small town. Tate nodded blankly, promising to be careful. But some things are entirely beyond human control. As his emotional bond with Kaya deepened, their conversations turned from the world of nature to the painful realities of their pasts. During a quiet afternoon on a sandbar, Tate finally shared the heavy burden he had been carrying. He told her that his mother and his little sister had died in a terrible car accident years ago. As he spoke the words, a sudden, heavy wave of intense sadness hit him. "Went to Asheville to buy me my birthday present. It was this bike I wanted, and I think they went to Asheville to get that bike for me." He covered his face, the old guilt consuming him. "I don't even remember what kind of bike it was. It wasn't your fault." Kaya reached out, her gentle hand resting on. It was direct and absolute. She didn't get the deep commitment she had hoped for that day, and the reality of the outside world soon came crashing back. A week later, Tate received his long-awaited acceptance letter from the University of North Carolina. At Chapel Hill, he celebrated happily with his proud father at the docks. But when the time came to tell Kaya, he walked down the path to her shack with a heavy heart, knowing his departure would feel like another abandonment. Meeting her by the shore, Tate tried to explain his departure. "Stay here." "And do what?" Tate threw his hands up, trying to make her see the reality of his choices. "Look, I just mean there's no work for me here. What am I gonna do? I don't want to be a shrimper like my dad. I'm gonna get a degree and be something, Kaya, so what do you want me to be?" "That's not what I meant." Kaya turned her back to him, her voice trembling with a profound fear of loss. "You're never gonna come back?" "Yes, I will. I won't leave you, Kaya, I promise. I'm gonna come back to you." Stop!" "Kaya, you can't run away from every whipstitch." In the beautiful future they were supposed to build together, Tate was the one who was ultimately choosing to run away first. Choosing a better future for oneself isn't inherently wrong, but the core problem was that beautiful dream. She realized a brutal, fundamental truth about her life. It wasn't that she hadn't waited long enough, or that his bus was late. The painful reality was that the person she loved had chosen the bright world of the town, and he was never coming back to the marsh. She was, as she had always been, entirely alone.